heartbeat that painfully thrummed in my skull. The lightning flashes illuminated the dark, leafless trees swaying wildly in the wind. Every now and again, thunder cracked, shocking my heart and making me cringe. Icy wind stole through the cracks in the windows and doors and snaked delicately around my skin. The day, sunny and bright only just minutes ago, became as dark and mysterious as space.
Avery, are you sure you want to stay here?
Edgar asked me.
It's just a dare. We can leave if you want.
I turned this question in my head. If we left, I could never face our friends. No, I insisted. We're staying. Shadow Lake Manor. The hell our friends dared us to stay for the night. Shadow Lake Manor had been abandoned for so long that not a single living soul knows who it belonged to. The house seemed to be part of the earth itself. Mold and vines enveloped the wooden structure. The windows were broken. The shutter hinges were so loose that the wind easily opened and closed them with a loud smack, and the wooden floorboards creaked with each step. Edgar and I sat in the foyer. I dared not go further. In silence, we peered into the darkness, wondering about the secrets this house kept. Suddenly, the strike of an old clock chimed so loud that the old walls shook as if the house were going to collapse. The sound sent shivers down my spine, not because how eerie the clock rang, but the sound seemed to be coming from nowhere. Edgar stared at me. His soft brown eyes met with my sage green eyes, sharing his confusion with mine. His jaw tensed as we came to the same question.
Where the hell is that sound coming from?
Edgar uttered softly, as if he feared someone was listening. I have no clue, but I don't want to find out, I replied. And I'm cold.
Come on, this place is abandoned. There's no one here but us. Let's take a look around. Who knows what we might find? Here, take my sweater,
he said calmly, as he removed his black sweater. His muscles twitched and flexed in response to the chill, dark weather. Edgar's eyes held mine, as he stood up, holding out his hand to help me.
Don't worry, nothing is going to happen. It'll be fun.
And with that, we set off to explore the darkness. Edgar's built figure led me through the halls of the abandoned house. His black shirt matched the darkness of the house. If it wasn't for the flashlight in his left hand, I wouldn't have been able to tell the difference between him and the darkness which surrounded us. However, his very presence made me feel safe. The softness in his voice made me forget the darkness in which I was in. His warm hand in mine, taking away the fear of the house that overwhelmed me. It seemed as if time had stopped. I have forgotten this hellish place and have only noticed him. The way his muscles was tense as he saw something new. The way his breath stopped when a sudden chill came in. The way he looked back at me to see if I was okay. I was at complete bliss when I stared at him as he led the way. I paid no attention at all to my surroundings, when suddenly, the clock struck again. It dragged me out of heaven and plunged me to hell. We followed the sounds of the devilish chimes. With each step, Edgar got faster. We ran, but the last chime came to a stop. Edgar didn't pause. The ground beneath us shook as he ran up the old staircase that appeared from nothing. Suddenly, he fell, breaking the old wood, scraping his knee and arms as he tried to catch himself, losing the flashlight.
Something just tripped me,
he exclaimed.
I swear to God, something just grabbed my leg. That's how I fell.
He gasped in shock as the blood fell from his legs and arm onto his clothes and dripped onto the floor. I helped him up, terrified and silent, until I could finally say something. I didn't see anything, Edgar, I assured him. Calm down. You just tripped. It's okay.
No, Avery, I swear something tripped me.
He persisted.
I can't explain it. It grabbed my leg. Please believe me.
The clock chimed again.
Didn't the clock just chime? What the hell is going on?
I could feel the panic in his voice as he struggled to get up. The room was pitch black. Our only source of light was gone. Now it is us and whatever the darkness has to welcome. I felt the darkness trapping us, surrounding us with no escape. We need to get out of here, Edgar. Get up. Come on, let's go. Tick, tock.
Where is that coming from? Avery, let's go. Come on, we're getting out of here.
I ran to help Edgar up. I watched as the crimson red blood rolled down his leg onto his Converse. Lightning struck outside, illuminating the room. Was that a figure? I asked myself. No, it couldn't have been. I'm just seeing things. The house, already hard to navigate through, became an unsolvable maze. The clock struck again, this time louder than before, and grew louder with each crash. Thunder roared, lightning cracked the sky once more. Suddenly the lights in the house flickered. The house completely lit up. I looked at Edgar. He looked up, searching for an explanation. We stood in silence as he took his blood-stained hand in mine. Our eyes had already adjusted to the darkness, so when the lights unexplainably turned on, it took seconds for our eyes to adjust. There we were, alone in a hallway. Many different pictures, old pictures, faded with age, of children and their families playing hung on the walls of the hallway. Their eyes followed our every movement. No matter where we turned, we could not escape their ominous gaze. The clock chimed, only this time showed itself to us. At the end of the endless hall was a grandfather clock. Unlike everything else in the house, the clock appeared to be new. The golden metronome accentuated the freshly polished mahogany. Edgar released my hand and slowly walked toward the clock. The loud ticking synchronized with each step he took. He motioned for me to follow, assuring me that everything was safe. I followed suit and carefully stepped in his direction. Tick, tock. I stared at the walls. Each new chime caused the picture of happy families fading to nothingness. As I grew closer, the chimes beat upon my ears. The hall seemed never-ending as we followed the beat of the ticking clock. Finally, we came face to face with the new clock, and I looked at our reflections. Somehow, our reflections seemed calm, almost at peace. The golden metronome was hypnotizing with each sway. The clock struck again, awakening us from the trance in which it had first brought us in. Something's different in the reflection this time. The clock chimed and I saw it. It held my gaze, refusing to let me look away. In the reflection of the clock was a young boy, no older than 8, staring with piercing eyes right at me and Edgar. He wore black, lifeless overalls with a shirt as white as snow. The little boy had hair as black as the darkness we entered. There was crimson red on his knee and arm. I gasped. Tick, tock. I snapped my glance toward Edgar and looked at the blood on his knee and arm. I grabbed his hands that have suddenly turned as cold as ice. He looked at me with a pale face, and the brown eyes that once soothed my fears were now dull and lifeless. I looked back at our reflection. The little boy was gone, as if he was never there. The clock chimed. The lights flickered. The wind howled. Edgar fell to the floor unconscious. I turned around only to be face to face with the boy from the reflection. His gaze pierced my soul as he slowly stepped toward us. My heart stopped, sending shivers down my spine. I held Edgar's body as he lay unconscious. The little boy came slowly to us, blocking our only exit. Unable to get up, I slid back, dragging Edgar's motionless body with me. I came to a halt as my back hit the clock. "Get away from us!" I screamed. The boy stopped, his head turned, and a sinister smile came to his face, exposing not teeth, but complete and utter darkness. The clock chimed. The sound was strong. I felt the vibration of the clock on my back. Tick, tock. This creature, disguised as the boy, walked forward once more. His smile grew bigger. The darkness within it started flooding out, slowly making the house completely dark yet again. The only light hovered above me and Edgar's corpse-like body. I clinged to Edgar. His blood covered me as I tried to pull him closer. The clock chimed. The darkness crept closer to us, as if it were alive. The darkness completely surrounded us. I held tight to Edgar, not knowing where the demon was hidden. I felt a pull on Edgar. I knew it was the dark child. I held as tight as I could, using all the force to make sure he was not taken. Tick, tock. The pulling grew stronger. I felt Edgar fading from my grasp. "No, don't take him!" I shrieked with all my might. With one final pull, Edgar was gone from my grasp. Then there was a scream so horrible it was not human. The high-pitched scream pierced my ears. The house shook. The clock chimed. I felt myself grow weak. The fear made my heart pound. The clock chimed. I saw the thing take Edgar and inhale him into the darkness of his abyss. I suddenly felt nothing. Everything faded. The clock chimed. My eyes flew open. I turned to my nightstand. My alarm went off, and I hit the snooze button with a gasp. My heart was beating. My body was covered in sweat. It was all a nightmare. Thank God. I turned off the alarm and made my way to the restroom. Finally, I began to relax. That hell seemed all too real, but it wasn't. I turned on the faucet. I let the cold water run and washed my face. I looked down and saw red flowing down the sink as I splashed water around my cheeks. I looked at my reflection. Edgar's sweater was still on my body. His blood covered every inch. The lights flickered. In the reflection of my bathroom mirror, I saw the little boy. Tick, tock. It all faded to black. Darkness came again.